Hello, and welcome to another episode of the RT3 Think Tank podcast. I'm your host, Karen Edwards, and I'm really excited to welcome Kody to the program today. Kody, your company is Reimagine Roofing, and I've just recently met you and learned a little bit about what you've done and the way that you have really leveraged technology as a way to help you get your business to where you are today. But I want to just stop and ask you to introduce yourself to our listeners and just tell us a little bit about you.
My name's Kody. I'm also a mentor in the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance with Adam Binsman, where we help other roofers, really implement new technology. So technology has always been at the forefront. For me as a company, I got into roofing from the solar industry, which I'll talk a little bit more about here in a second. And before that, I was in the Marine Corps. So that's been kind of my journey. Joined Marine Corps right out of high school, then went to ASU for college, got in the solar industry, and then saw there was a big market inefficiency where there wasn't a roofing company dedicated to the solar industry. And so that was kind of our first business model here at Reimagine. And then after that industry changed a little bit, we switched to more of a direct to consumer model where we really leverage technology to give a world-class experience for our homeowners.
Wow, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
It's great to, we have a lot of veterans in the roofing industry, and it's great to meet you and see what you're doing. So it's interesting that you started in solar because that's a technology that, it's been around for a while. It's been talked about for a while in the roofing industry, but I feel like it just hasn't quite taken off. But what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I actually started in solar when I was in the Marine Corps. Part of what I was doing in the Marine Corps was deploying solar-powered satellite communication in rural areas, where troops were, so they could communicate back with headquarters. Then I went to ASU and studied solar. I got a degree in sustainability, and then I got into the solar industry. To kind of answer your question, I think we're still at the very forefront of the industry as a whole. What we just saw over the last 2 years was a kind of the shaking of the tree. As interest rates rose, there was a lot of kind of bad actors that weren't doing good work that were forced out of the industry. I think it was really similar to kind of what happened in 2008 with the real estate crash. And now we're going to have a much more resilient industry. We're going to have an industry where people are doing things the right way. And I think it's a huge opportunity for roofers in particular to add solar to their business, not as the core part of their business, but as an addition, similar to how you might do siding or you might do windows or you might do gutters. If you can be more of a home service contractor and not just a roofer, it really helps increase the value of your business, but also gives you a lot of resiliency if we face future economic trials. If maybe the roofing industry pulls back or you don't have a storm that hits your market that year, you have more resiliency as a business if you are offering more products to your customers.
So I want to talk a little bit more about that because there's been a lot of conversation over solar and roofing contractors, and electricians have to be involved. Or do you get an electrician on your staff? Who owns the roof has been that conversation. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, so there's definitely multiple business models, and what we encourage and what we coach, in our program is to start off with the kind of partnership model, similar to how you might do Windows. If you're not doing Windows to start, you might sub it out to maybe like Pella or a trusted partner. Same kind of thing in solar. If you can find a trusted, they're called EPCs or installers. And what I encourage, because a lot of people struggle with how do I find a trusted partner in that? And I say just act like a homeowner. Get on Google. Look at reviews, and the real key that I really try to stress to everybody is sort by new, because you'll see what this company has done over the last 3 months, last 6 months, last year, and you'll see the health of the business. Visit the office, meet the people, and then find the company that you can truly trust. But for me, that's a stepping stone because I want to control the customer experience and I want the buck to stop with me. So we are a licensed solar installer in the locations where we also do solar. And that's why I would encourage for other roofing companies as well. And I think there's a really great opportunity right now because of the fact that so many of the larger solar companies did go out of business over the last couple of years. There's a lot of talent out there that is good talent that just happen to be out of bad business. And so right now, there's a lot of great opportunity to hire some really high quality people to come in and be maybe a director of ops or your head electrician or your head installer. And then they would be the person that would get you licensed or certified depending on your location. And they would be the person in charge of running the quality control underneath your larger brand.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about your business. How long have you had this Reimagine Roofing?
4 years now. We just completed our fourth year.
Okay. And you've done really well. I know when Maddie, your marketing person, reached out about potentially bringing you on the podcast, she sent some quick highlights of your success. And you've won awards. You speak nationally for major brands, Owens Corning, ABC Supply. What is the key? What's helped you in just 4 years to really make that mark on the industry?
I think just a dedication to evaluating every part of the process. It's in the name. I wanted to reimagine the roofing industry from the inside out. So I came with fresh eyes and I looked at this is how people are doing quotes. Is that the best way? Is that the most effective way to do quotes, or can we leverage technology to make it faster, to make it more accurate? And what I saw when I got into roofing originally is I was in solar. We were selling solar in multiple locations, and I was dealing with a ton of different roofers that all seemed largely unorganized and they weren't using a CRM. They had very limited organization, and I wanted to fix that. And I think by bringing in a new point of view and really leveraging the technology that we use, having a CRM from day one, asking for reviews from day one, and building up that social proof in a digital way has allowed us to scale the way that we've scaled, over the course of 4 years, which has actually also led to us just 30 days ago actually being acquired. So within our fourth year, yeah, we went through an acquisition, and we're now part of a larger elite family of brands, which has been awesome for us as well. And we're in the process of taking this model and this vision nationwide now.
Oh, wow. That is so cool. I mean, that's hot right now in the industry, right? M&A are happening right and left. And I know that contractors are a little bit, it's the unknown, I think, and they're a little unsure. So, I mean, if you don't mind sharing a little bit of how did you know that this, was the right time and the right partner?
Yeah, for us, it was the right time because I wanted to shift my focus onto really growing the brand and really implementing our unique sales process. And I wanted to get my focus off the day to day of making payroll, of AR, of AP, of just running a day to day business, and instead focus on acting like a true CEO or and being able to grow a business. And what happens a lot of times, with us as business owners, we're actually, more than just the founder and the CEO. We're the AP department, we're the AR department, we're all these other things. And so our focus is consistently split across 10 different modalities that we can't focus on the true mission of growing the business. And I felt that, even though we had massive success, that I was leaving a lot on the table because my focus and my attention was consistently split across all of these other areas of the business. And I knew that if I could keep my focus on growing the business and bringing this nationwide, that it would really unlock my company's full potential. And so that's why we decided to make that decision. And how I knew who was right was largely based on aligned values. It's the same thing that I would recommend how you pick your solar contractor. Go talk to the people. Go look at the office. If everybody's running around like a chicken with their head cut off and there's no organization, that's going to come down to your business as well. How do they negotiate? One thing that Warren Buffett always said that really stuck out to me is if you know a deal's right, you should never pinch pennies. And that was the approach that the firm that was acquiring us took. They're like, hey, we're not going to go back and forth, negotiate every single dollar. We think your vision is what's right for us, and let's just give you a great offer out of the gate. And let's just get this done so we can get moving. I mean, we closed in what might be record time. It was about 45 days from LOI to full transaction, and which large part is we had a lot of our financials in order, and we had ran a business that was adhered to accounting standards. But it was also because both of us just said, hey, look, we're going to do so much better with this partnership. Do we really need to fight over this last little dollars over here or this last little thing here? Let's just get on the same page and let's go make this thing happen.
Wow, that's exciting. Very exciting for you, especially in terms of, like you said, to go nationwide.
Yes.
What an amazing opportunity. So I want to circle back a little bit because one of the the terms that Maddie used when we were talking was a tech-inspired unicorn model that allows homeowners to purchase roofs 100% digitally. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about how that came to be and how it's been working.
Yeah. So how it came to be. So our original business model is I built a roofing company for the solar industry. I built a roofing company for myself, basically. And I was a solar sales manager. And one of our major problems is when we came up to a homeowner and they were ready to buy solar, they would say, "Hey, I know I want to get solar, but I have to get my roof done first." And so then I would have to go find a roofer. A roofer would take 7 days to get me an estimate, maybe 2 weeks. Then I'd go back to the homeowner and maybe, the dog died, grandma's in town, whatever that is, but something changed in their life. And now they need to put it off 6 months or a year because life happens. And so what I set out to do was to solve that problem. So originally, before kind of the roofers and the eagle views and the quick squares, I developed a way to measure a roof with Google Earth and dropping yourself on the ground and using a pitch calculator from Google Street View to generate an estimate in 15 minutes or less. And what I would do is I would provide these two solar companies to the person that's sitting at the kitchen table. And so now when they said, "Hey, you want to go solar?" and they said, "Yes, but I need to get my roof done first," they said, "Great. I work with this amazing company, Reimagine Roofing. Let me text them real quick." They would text us an address. We would text them back a roof quote. And then the homeowner could package the roof and solar together and move forward that day. And so that was kind of the start of our business. And with that, I knew I had to build up a digital trust because I was never going to talk to that homeowner. They were talking to Bob, the solar rep that was sitting in their kitchen, and he just had to go, "Hey, this is Reimagine Roofing. Here's their price." And then they would go look at it. They'd go to our website. They'd go to our YouTube channel. They're like, "Oh man, these guys are awesome." And then they felt confident in moving forward without ever talking to a real person. And so, other than the solar rep, which, admittedly had limited knowledge, I would go around, I would train them on the basics. But generally, I discovered that homeowners were completely confident in self-educating. And because I had, amazing reviews, because we had a very thorough YouTube channel, because I had a great website, they're like, "These guys are great. Why do I need somebody to come sit in my kitchen for an hour and a half and tell me that you're great? I already know you're great." So that was the original kind of genesis of the business. And then once the solar industry started having their challenges, I understood that if we wanted to be healthy, I couldn't maintain a single channel of revenue. So then we pivoted to a direct to consumer model. And it kind of dawned on me. Again, I built something directly for myself. When I want to go buy an HVAC, I don't want somebody to come sit in my kitchen for an hour and a half telling me about HVACs. I want to know, what's the SEER rating? What's the cost? What's your reputation online? And then I can make a decision. And more consumers are wanting that kind of experience. You look at Carvana, you look at Zappos. It used to be crazy to think someone could buy shoes without trying them on. And now I don't know the last time I tried on a pair of shoes. Same thing with Carvana. You could never buy a car without test driving it. Well, now many people do. And so that was my central thesis with this, is that there was a subset of customers that wanted to buy roofs that way, that don't want somebody pressuring them sitting at the kitchen table. Maybe they have dogs, maybe they have kids that go crazy. Like if they're anything like me, it's someone comes to my house, my Great Dane's trying to lick them. It's all this anxiety. I would love to be able to just go through a simple process and say, "This is what I want." And so that's what we're delivering to homeowners nationwide is a self-education process online through videos. And then they talk to one of our sales professionals over the phone or over Zoom. We walk them through a photo report. We walk them through an estimate. And then we walk them through a sales presentation. Then we walk them through options of how they want to proceed. And many homeowners love it. There's still, majority of homeowners are still going to want the in-home experience, but that's okay because I'm not selling to everybody. I'm selling to my customer, and my customer wants that streamlined experience that's fully digital, and it's the easiest way to buy a roof in America.
And what's the accuracy been like for you in terms of the estimate being, spot on?
I would say it's Eagle View and roofers or GF Quick Square. Those things are more accurate than any person measuring a roof, in my opinion. And to clarify, we go out and confirm the estimate as well. We let homeowners know, "Hey, this is an estimate." Once they decide, "I want to go with that," we're going to come out. We're going to walk the roof. We'll pop in the attic. If you have bad plywood, you have, we'll talk about that. Obviously, we have wood change orders like any other roofing company. But the majority of what it is just the size of the roof. And then, that generates the cost. We can see, the ridge and the valleys, all of that from a roof measurement report. There's no reason to actually go out to the property if the homeowner knows it's a full roof replacement. Now, if they have a 14-year-old roof, they're like, I'm looking for a repair. Okay, that's a different story. But the majority of our customers say, hey, I have a 23-year-old roof and I need to get my roof replaced. Okay, great. I don't need to go out there and look and say, yeah, it is 23 years old. If it's a 23-year-old roof, we know it's got to be replaced, and that keeps it simple, gives them information within 24 hours. Sometimes same day. People call in on Monday morning. They'll have a presentation by Monday afternoon so that they have that information and they can make a decision quickly and resolve their problem. At the end of the day, that's all they're looking to do.
Are you giving them options when it comes to material and style and all that stuff?
100%. Yes. Every single homeowner that we talk to, unless they're moving within a couple years, we're at least going to bring up the option of upgrading to a metal roof, whether that's stone coated steel, standing seam. If it's a flat roof like out here in Arizona and New Mexico, we'll talk about, foam with acrylic versus silicone versus TPO, depending on what their life goals are. But we do a really good discovery call and understand what you're looking to do. If you're going to be in the home for the next 20 or 25 years, you should strongly consider upgrading to a metal roof. It's just from an economic standpoint, from a look standpoint, if you want your neighbors to walk by and say, oh my gosh, you throw a metal roof on, increases home value. But from a purely economic standpoint, if you have a $20,000 shingle roof today and a $40,000 metal roof, when you go to replace that shingle roof in 20 years, it's going to be 30, 40, maybe 50,000. I mean, at the rates we've been seeing, maybe it's 60,000, who knows? But what I do know is you're going to spend more on shingle roofs over the next 25 years if you go shingle today and shingle again in 20 years than by upgrading to a metal roof. And that's not even considering if you're in a hail market or, a hurricane market or any of these other markets. As these deductibles begin to increase, and they go to 5,000 or 8,000, do you really want to be paying $5,000 every 3 years to replace your shingle roof? Or do you want to upgrade it and be protected?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good to hear. So I want to talk a little bit about not really related to technology, but maybe a little bit. But you have some videos on your website about your company, and the one that really stood out to me was about the culture that you have created there. When you say I started a roofing company for myself, for what I wanted, and I imagine culture had to have been a big part of that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we one of our core sayings is here that we're a personal development company that happens to build roofs, and it's really at the core of who we are. We have a book of the month. We do weekly shout outs. We have employees of the month, and we really try to just all of my project managers are now Lean Six Sigma green belts, and most of them are going to be black belts. We really, really want this to be an inflection point in people's lives. My end goal with this is you come to Reimagine Roofing, and when you leave, whether that's in 3 months or 30 years, you are a transformed person. Your skill set, the way you view yourself. We have financial Fridays every Friday where we talk about dollar cost averaging and getting invested and compounding interest and paying down your credit card. So we're trying to build better humans here, not just better employees. And it's really a core part of what we are, because one of our other favorite sayings is happy employees make happy customers, which make happy employees, which make happy customers. It's a positive loop that we continue to just thrive off of our other employees, our other teammates, and our customers. And it's just, we're the happiest roofing company in America. And this is why.
It sure seems like a fantastic place to be. And I love that you're focusing on some of those life skills like the financial Fridays and paying down your debt and investing, because they don't teach that stuff at school.
They don't. And we also do fitness Fridays as well, where, we talk about, macros and, carbohydrates versus protein versus fats. I was a personal trainer for a year when I got out of the Marine Corps. So we have a gym in the basement here at the office. And so, people are constantly bettering themselves. We got one employee that's down 40 pounds over the last 4 months. And so those are the kind of things, like, it's great when we have an amazing month in sales and it's great when we sell the big deal. But when I get a little text from one of the teammates that says, hey, look, I just crossed $5,000 in my investment account. That's how I know that we've changed somebody's life, because, if they're 25 years old and they've started investing now and they continue on that pathway, by 45, 50, 60, they're set up for the rest of their life. And alternatively, if they never get that education, then they're also the opposite of set up for the rest of their life. They reach that end point and they're like, why didn't anybody teach me this? And I do think it's very disappointing that it's not taught in schools. And so that's why I try to teach it to to all the teammates, because I think it's just such an invaluable part of life, of learning how money works and learning why getting started early in investing has just massive outsized impacts.
I noticed you used the word teammates and not employees. I like that.
Yeah.
So I always like to ask someone who has found, such success and built such a solid company, are there things that you know now that you wish you knew when you were just getting started? Or are there things that you might have done differently?
I think the biggest thing is understanding the value of doing things the right way the first time, whether that's setting up your insurance, whether that's setting up your books, things that may not seem important when you're $1 million company, or a 3 million or a 5 million becomes outsized importance once you start crossing over certain barriers, legal, accounting, all of those things, even simple things like being on accrual-based accounting instead of cash-based accounting, and making what I would have done differently is I would have invested more money instead of time, relying on more professionals. Meaning that, the first contract, I kind of just Googled, I found another contract, kind of modified some things, and then we got burned, and it ended up costing us, $30,000 because the contract I had written wasn't state specific and wasn't legal per the state. And it would have cost me maybe $5,000 to hire a lawyer to do it. So investing in one-time things, you only need to invest in a contract one time. You only need to set up your charter of accounts in your QuickBooks one time. You only need to do certain things one time. So maybe thinking differently about that as a starting business, making those investments, because I guarantee, one, it's going to save you a ton of money, but also that time I spent, I don't know, maybe 20 hours putting it together, I could have spent growing my business. I could have spent on something that is in my wheelhouse rather than trying to learn how to be a fake lawyer.
Yeah, as you were telling that story, it was reminding me of the metal versus asphalt roof, where, making the investment now is going to save you and, not having to spend that money, more money later. And that's kind of that same exact thing. Okay, so I want to wind up on the future. And I mean, you've seen a lot in the 4 years that you've started and growing your business. You've done so many things right, partly because you saw a lot of things that were wrong, and you knew you wanted to do it right. So where do you see the future? What role do you see technology playing? And what would your advice be to a roofing contractor who's maybe not using technology the way they should, or maybe not looking at those buy online models? What's next?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we really stress, Adam and myself both, is that every roofing company has to be a marketing company. It is, this is the future. That isn't, the other parts of technology, I'll just kind of jump into, like the AI and the digital quotes, are coming as well. But I think first and foremost, everybody has to be a marketing company. You have to understand how to generate traffic, other than just knocking doors. Because as more and more people are going to start shifting more and more in the direction of not wanting their door knocked, every year less and less people are going to respond to that kind of direct outreach. And additionally, as storms become more and more severe, insurance companies are changing their approach to deductibles. And so the market as a whole is changing. And so gone are going to be the days of knocking on a door and saying, hey, do you want to get this roof replaced for $1,000 or whatever your deductible is? You need to be making sure you're on the forefront of financing. If you're not offering financing, you need to get that in place today. If you don't know basic marketing KPIs, you need to take a crash course today. I don't care if you're 65 years old and you've been in business 30 years, you have to become at least knowledgeable about marketing. You can still hire an outside agency, but if you don't have the core understanding, you will get it taken advantage of. And then you hear all the horror stories. And then I ask them, I'm like, okay, do you understand, what SEO is? No, that's why I hired those guys. Well, would you hire a subcontractor to install a roof if you didn't know roofing? No, because you can't inspect it. You can't ensure the quality. So you have to understand the basics, and the world is at our fingertips now with YouTube, with AI. You can learn this stuff very quickly. And one of my favorite rules is, before you say you don't know how to do anything, give at least 20 hours of attention to it. And so before you say, I can't do this, dedicate to yourself over the next 2 or 3 months that you're going to set aside 20 hours. Maybe it's, in one weekend and you're going to cram it all in, but set aside a true 20 hours to try to learn something. And in those 20 hours, you'll get such an understanding, the 80-20 rule, that then when you go meet with that marketing agency, when you go meet with that AI company, then when you go meet with that subcontractor, if it's about solar, you'll know enough to know if they are pulling your leg or they're shooting you straight. And so if you do not have marketing going right now, you have to get into the marketing at the forefront of it. And you have to get comfortable selling retail and not just insurance, because as deductibles rise, it's going to be a lot more like a retail sale. When they have a $10,000 deductible, I mean, and the roof's only $20,000, not a lot of people can just pull the $10,000 out and just pay it. So you have to be able to solve those solutions. And then once you're able to do retail in addition to insurance, now you have two verticals of revenue. No storms, no problem. We'll still be able to sell some revenue. If a storm hits, great. We're having a great year. But you have to protect your business. You have to make your business more resilient. Whether it's with AI, with marketing, with digital quotes, all of that is possible. But you have to put in the time, and it has to start with you at the top as an owner or as a general manager if the owner is absent.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. This has been a great conversation, Kody. I am so happy to have met you and to be able to share this information out to the industry. And hopefully, we're helping somebody who's listening today.
Definitely, 100%. Yeah, and if anybody wants to learn more, they can check out our YouTube channel, just Reimagine Roofing. Or I also have a personal YouTube channel where I'm just launching. I'm going to be kind of teaching everything that I know about building a roofing business and sales and digital sales. And that's Roofing Sales Reimagined. And if they want to learn more about RSRA, they can go to rsra.org and tell them Kody sent you.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank everybody out there for listening to this episode, and be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast channel because we want to see you on a future episode. Thanks for joining us today.